And I can't handle podiums, guys. But if I do that, I feel like a politician. And, well, you can't make political jokes, but I don't care where you're at on that, politicians, or I don't want to feel like a politician. So get an entry slide going on here. Oh, look at that. So first of all, introduce me as Nate. I am part of the marketing team. I get to work with a great group in the marketing department, but I have probably the most awesome job in the company because I'm also on the technical development team, and I also get to work with our regulatory team. So I get to hang out with I just had my 28th anniversary last weekend, been married 28 years. And so I kind of use that as a gauge. So I've been at this, my career started over 28 years ago. And this is probably the finest group of people at Rovensa Next I've ever had the opportunity, really the privilege to work with. And Colton and Nick, I cannot wait to work with you guys too. So welcome to the family. It's going to be awesome, super exciting times. Now, I'm going to put some people on the spot here. Does anybody know, do you know what that even is up there?
Yeah.
And that's okay if you don't.
Soybeans.
It's a soybean. Yeah. So I am not from around here. You're going to figure that out really quick. I'm from Indiana. So I'm gonna put somebody else on the spot, sir. Or well, you're looking at me. Can you tell me anything that happens in Indiana? Exactly. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. We'll do it. We gave you one. No, it's kind of funny. I got off the Johnny Appleseed
Festival.
Is it really? Where's that at? I don't even know about that one. Okay, I have no doubt. Yeah, so I get off the plane in Fresno, right? I go down, I get my rental car, I go up to Enterprise, and very nice lady there. She says, Mr. Kemp, says, I have to have a second phone number. Okay. Well, here, I'll give you my wife's number, but don't tell her I'm in Fresno. It really serious. She's just typing. She doesn't miss. She goes, oh, you're in Fresno. Why would you come here? And I said, I'm from Indiana. And she's like, yeah, that's probably worse. so then the girl next says, she's laughing. I go, okay, you think it's funny. What happens in Indiana? And she goes, I think there's a Gary, Indiana. I said, there is. So you don't want to go there. But there is a Gary, Indiana. She goes, I learned that from watching Parks and Rec. So apparently everything you need to know about where I'm from, you can watch Parks and Rec, and actually, sadly, it's a lot like the town I live in. So I am from Indiana. I'm going to exhaust my knowledge of grapes on you, but we have an awesome group of technical people and salespeople here. So when you ask me a question, I'm going to get deer in the headlight kind of look, but that's okay. We're gonna get it answered for you, okay? Let's see here. Did this thing go on or off, or? Of course, it went off or something.
I don't know if toggle it on.
Yeah, toggle it on and off. See if it does it. That is really weird. If you let it set, it was just working. That's okay. Pop me 2 slides, would you? We don't need the next one. We'll go to the third one. It's not working either. Well, maybe it's not my controller. Okay, let me see if I can advance. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is a brand new product that we're bringing to the market. It's called TYPHOON. I think some of you guys have got some samples on the table there with you. And Dr. Escalon actually mentioned in his presentation, not a promotion, just, it was in your trials, right? So you don't need to necessarily read all that. I'm going to walk you through exactly what the product is. We've already gotten a question about rates. We're going to talk about rates. I'm going to kind of tell you the crops that we've tested it on, kind of some of the diseases that we've tested it on, and go through the mode of action. So this will be a very technical talk. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have about maybe 20 minutes together here, and we'll show you some data. I'm a tech guy. Go Purdue, go Boilermakers, right? Hammer down. That's right. I'm going to make a convert out of Richard here. So, and Kent, you did have one. What's in Indiana? Bobby Knight, baby. But I'm a Boilermaker, so but we still love Bobby Knight. Everybody in Indiana loves Bobby Knight. All right. So I'm just going to mention this. Not going to talk about it, but we do have a product called Attitude, and Attitude is an acidifier. So one of the things we'll discuss a couple different times, I'll show you some data on this, we have to put an acidifier with the TYPHOON. So we would like you to use our acidifier, but we've got data on other ones as well. All right, so TYPHOON, what is it? It is, the active ingredient is actually potassium sorbate, and it is a minimal risk. So you mentioned softer chemistries. We'll call it it's a softer chemistry. It is a 25B product, but it's not organic. So it's a little bit, fits into the portfolio a little bit differently than some companies. One of my customers from Indiana, actually. So it does not have any reentry intervals. It doesn't have any pre-harvest intervals. In fact, basically it says it has to be dry. So it's going to give us a lot of flexibility in the field, and we'll show you some different strategies of how you might be able to use those characteristics. And as I said, you have to use an acidifier. So it's only going to be active between 4.5 and 5.5. So pH is going to be super important. And we'll go through the crops. So this is how it works. Potassium sorbate is a food preservative. All right. So, or that's kind of where we got it from. So what it'll do is it'll dissolve in water, and it releases its active form, which is actually sorbic acid. And the absorption of that sorbic acid will go into the fungal cells, and you'll get rapid and long-term acidification of the cytosol and collapse of the pH gradient. That's a lot of words there. So let's see if we can break this down. So here's our cell, right? And we've got our vacuole, and it's got a pH of about 6. Well, the cytosol, which is all the good gooey liquidy stuff in the cell, it's very neutral. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on, and it's going to make the pH drop in that cytoplasm, and it's just going to destroy that gradient. So that difference in pH is what allows organic acids to move, or ATP synthesis to happen. So those things those metabolic processes in the cell, and by disrupting that pH, we can kill the fungus. It's very broad spectrum. It's a contact product, but that's basically how it works. So, all right. So what kind of crops did we test it on? Mostly, it's kind of medium highlighted there, but most of our research has been grapes, blueberries, strawberries, the cucurbits, and then solanaceous crops like tomatoes. So that's really kind of the first place where the first groups of people we're rolling it out to, because we've got a very robust data package, and you guys can see that. I'm not going to show a lot of data, but if you guys want to see that, you work with any of these crops, just kind of get with your salespeople, and we'll see about getting that information for you. So you can have a lot of confidence in the product, how it works. It's been a long time coming. We've actually been working on this thing for over 6 years. So we've been working on it with a number of universities for a number of years now. Somebody's already asked me about the use rate, 64 to 128 fluid ounces per 100 gallon. So that's about a 0.5 to 1% volume to volume, if that's kind of how you guys, if that's a little bit easier for your calculations. And it's very good on the list of diseases here. So we do have quite a bit of information on these particular diseases, in particular botrytis and powdery mildew. So those are 2 targets. And it's a resistance management tool. And of course, I've already mentioned, it doesn't have any reentry intervals. We don't have to worry about residues with it. So you can spray. It's going to be very flexible as far as when you can apply it during the year. And this is not a standalone option. This is simply a tool in our toolbox. So what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to work with you guys to figure out what's going to work into your management plans, right? Because what you're doing is not different than what you're doing, presumably, and rightfully so. All right, so let's look at some data. Like I said, I'm a tech guy at heart. We're not going to talk about everything. When I show the data, I want you to think more about concepts, more about how can we take this thing and sort of mix it up, right? So I'm just going to show you essentially examples of some of the things that we've done to sort of get you thinking and illustrate the points Now, I knew that Dr. Escalon was going to talk a little bit about powdery mildew today, so I thought that maybe we should throw some powdery mildew data in, and just for time, let's just skip right to some pictures. So these are all softer chemistry options. We've got, this was in Clovis, so local data. We've got our untreated here. I wish, Dr. Escalon, I'm going to have to get that big old, no, not today, but that thing looks like a flashlight. I'm going to find one of those. I am so going to get that, right? No, we're good. So we got our untreated. We've got our Caligreen treatment, which is a softer chemistry option. But then we've got a couple of our products here, TYPHOON and Attitude, and then of course Prevam. And you can see oh yeah, fantastic. Look at that. That is, wow. That is, man, I could bring down a small aircraft with that thing, right? So, all right, so we got our softer chemistry options here, and you can see just how nice and clean the leaves look. Then of course the grapes and the clusters of the grapes, and actually they look just maybe even a little bit more mature in those pictures. So we know the products work, right? I mean, the efficacy is there when we use them properly. You can have a lot of confidence in that. It's just now how do we incorporate that kind of into an overall program, a management program. You're going to see that I'm going to use a lot of data or several sites from Michigan State. Of course, I'm actually a graduate of Michigan State as well, and we work with Dr. Tim Miles' lab there. And oh, you guys, so you know Tim? He is a great guy. We're going to get him out here sometime. Yeah, I think we're going to get him out here sometime. But we did a lot of work with Tim, and he's been very instrumental in the development of these products. So much so that a year ago we basically said, hey, if we were just to give you this, you tell us how you would use it. So we've maybe progressed a little bit more in even some of that research with Dr. Miles' lab. But this is actually from 2019. Now that's important because I already mentioned we've been looking at this thing for a number of years. This isn't something new. We've definitely put a lot of effort into bringing it to the market, and we're looking at a conventional program. So that would be maybe a mixture or a different rotation of traditional chemistries. We get very good efficacy. Well, if we look at just the TYPHOON and Attitude, we're also getting just excellent control with the powdery mildew on par with some traditional offerings. Same trial, pictures from this trial. We actually put a 2x rate of the TYPHOON and Attitude on, and we still, and the plants look fine. So it's a very broad spectrum, the efficacy is good, and it's a very safe product to use. So very encouraging. Now, I did mention that we should pair this with an acidifier. So this is a trial from, actually 2023. We don't have it here, but we came in and we looked at TYPHOON in combination with some other acidifiers on the market. And because what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we could use something besides Attitude. Attitude was actually co-developed with TYPHOON. So we actually developed that acidifier to use specifically with the fungicide, but we didn't want to be hemmed in to saying, well, you had to use our acidifier if there was somebody else you were working with and had that relationship with. So we wanted to have the confidence to say, yeah, you could work with all the people in your network, and we could be part of your overall program. And yeah, it works good with the BioLink, the LI 700. SQUALL is another product that we develop and sell here at Rovensa next. So basically, we want to pair it with a good quality acidifier to see that pH of 4.5 to 5.5. All right, so grapes in particular. Of course, powdery mildew and botrytis are at the top of the list. You can see some of the other disease complexes. What's interesting about Michigan is it's very wet, so it's almost like a petri dish, right? So we got a lot of, like I said, we work with Michigan State. We got a lot of other diseases that we've been working with over the years. And it's just a great test bed. So as far as how to position it in grapes, we're very interested in as a rotation partner for resistance management. I think Dr. Escalon did just an exceptional job covering that already. And then it's really well suited to these late season applications because we don't have to worry about residues, right? And again, Dr. Escalon did an excellent job talking about residues. So this is an example of a program. Don't get hung up on the individual pesticides. All right. And by the way, you're going to see like 12 applications. That's how much they spray in Michigan. Yeah, I just saw a couple eyes get big. Yeah, they do spray that much. So this, I'm going to just introduce some terminology for the next presentation. This would be an example of a biofungicide program where we take all soft chemistries and kind of try to put together a soft chemistry program. We also looked at conventional programs or industry standard programs where we would use maybe traditional synthetic chemistries. And then we're also looking at taking a soft chemistry, for example, a TYPHOON or a Thymic, and pairing them with conventional chemistries, right? So let's call that a partnered program. So I'm just for the language, we got partnered programs, we've got conventional programs, and we've got our biofungicide programs. One slide, this is from Michigan State. We're looking at a disease complex called black rot. So this would be our industry standard of 97%. Here, we just came in with a biofungicide and late in the season, kind of like we would use a TYPHOON, right? We're going to put TYPHOON in late in the season. You see that we still got very, very good efficacy. So we were able to do that from a residue. And then TYPHOON added to by itself, it looks very good just by itself, but not that wouldn't be how we would normally recommend it. We'd want to put it as part of a program. Powdery mildew, same thing, right? So this would be our partnered program where we displace some of our traditional chemistries, and we're still able to get very good efficacy by swapping out some of that. And a picture. So this would be the partner program. They'd have the untreated. And by the way, these are side by side. By side by side, like here's the treatment, here's the treatment. So those are side by side pictures. All right. Look at the time here. All right. So I'm going to switch crops. We're not going to talk about grapes. This is actually blueberry data from Michigan State. Now, the reason we did this is because it's last year's data, so it's a little bit newer. It still pertains to the conversation that we're having, even though it's a different crop. But again, think about the system, think about the idea. And this is an example of where we went to Dr. Miles and said, okay, can you just put this in a program? Here's the product. How would you use it? We're not going to tell you how to use it. You tell us how to use it. And he really liked that. He took that on and thought that was pretty neat. So we were looking at just TYPHOON by itself because we're still trying to kind of get the rates dialed in and just kind of get a little more of a data package. This would have been his standard program for blueberries, 10 applications. That's what a grower might do in Michigan. And then we basically came in and replaced the last 4 applications of Pristine and Switch with TYPHOON. So this would be blossom blight data. And basically we got 100% control. So we successfully swapped that product out. You see we got 100% control with TYPHOON and SQUALL, or 98 to 100%. And basically what I'm seeing here is this product's very good on blossom blight. And, we were able to swap it out. So people are going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, well, that makes complete sense. It was very good. So you were able to swap it out and do and kind of end up in the same place. Now, what if we look at this a different way and look at a different disease, anthracnose, which is Colocotrum. Did I say that right? Colocotrum? Did I? I did? I think it's the coolest word, so I try to get it right. So anyway, anthracnose, if we look at the TYPHOON by itself, we're getting good control, right? 80%, but not exceptional, not excellent. However, if we pair it up and we put it in as part of the program, we're still able to maintain control on par with that grower standard product. So even though we're using a softer chemistry, we're still able to introduce it in there and still get the job done. So that would be a late season spray. Let's look at taking a product and sort of switching it out in season, right? So we're just going to put it in different places. So here we finished up with TYPHOON and Attitude, but we actually took this application of Rally out, and we replaced it with a product called Appeal. We're not going to talk about that today, but I will say this, and this is pretty cool, just for this group, little secret, trade secret. We'll be launching probably 3 new biopesticide products in the United States in the next 2 years. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So more to come. We'll have a reason to come back to California and do this again. All right, so here we've got our grower standard program, and you look at how we can basically kind of swap out and mix and match a couple of those traditional chemistries with a soft chemistry and obtain the same result. Now, somebody's going to ask, what's classified? The answer is I really don't know. It's something that Dr. Miles was working with from it's not our treatments. It's another product that Dr. Miles is working with. So. All right, so in summary, I hope I've convinced you. TYPHOON and Attitude at 0.5 to 1% provides good efficacy. So it works, particularly on powdery mildew and botrytis. Very, very good on that. Like I said, I kind of just sort of left some of those slides out, but if you guys want to look at data, just come and see us. We can take a look at it together, okay? Or get with your sales guys and we'll see about having that conversation. So. The different acidifiers worked similarly to the Attitude, which is a product that we developed to sell in cooperation with the TYPHOON, and they worked about the same. So we'll want to sit down with you and have that conversation and get it paired up with a good quality acidifier to make sure that that product's going to work and perform the way we want it to and the way you expect. And then, of course, it can be alternated or with conventional chemistries or used late in the season. So, again, that's everybody's program is a little bit different, and just really a great opportunity for us to work with people one-on-one to find the best management practice. All right.